we have before us a pretty little Merlin guitar, 12 string, in the Hummingbird style, but it's a very, very sick Merlin, and it's going to need a lot of magic to make it get better. There's not anything wrong with the neck or the body. There's no cracks or damages or dings or anything like that. It's actually in quite a good shape. The neck itself has got a tremendous underbow. Can you see that underbow? That underbow goes the whole way right onto the neck, so truss rod needs tightened. But tightening the truss rod is the least of its problems, because the whole body has caved in and sunk, and you can see the action. So my next journey is inside the guitar to see what's going on in there. Okay. That is some chunky truss rod. Look at the size of the Allen key. Yeah, it's a big one, put it like that. Right. And it just fits, so I'm going to have to give it a little tap so it doesn't split. I'm going to have to tighten it because the underbow, so tighten it. It's moving very smoothly, which means it's never been tightened by the look of it. But it's such a big chunky truss rod, I can feel it tightening there, that you could be tempted to swing on it, and that would just do terrible damage to the truss rod, and then you just sort of, let me just see. Okay, why are you not, that's it. Why are you not fitting? Sorry, my mistake. That's it now. Actually, just another little turn. Just a couple of turns did it. Let's just see. I'm doing it with my left hand. You see, that's why. Pretty good. It's got the slightest underbow now. Got the slightest underbow. Yeah. I'm doing this. My camera's upside down, hanging from the ceiling. So let's see how well she does. Are we recording? It says we're recording. What we're doing now is taking off the strings, so I may end up putting in big lumps of wood in there. It doesn't matter what it's like. This is the most important thing, so I'll just check it with the feeler gauge just to make sure it's not rising. Let me just see. Oh, it looks like it's rising there. I don't know what you can see that or not. You put that in there and there's gaps there. Well, we'll see. Maybe I could be lazy on this guitar because it's relatively cheap. Oh, there's a scratch there. I didn't notice that before. Can you see that scratch now? I might be relatively lazy on this one and just clean that out and press it down and glue it again. To get it, because it's just a wee cheap player and there's no point in spending a fortune on this, you know. Alright, okay, tidy this all up and send this to the owner and let her see what she's going to get back, maybe. I might actually just put some big lumps of wood in there and make it as a wedge, you know, because we're not talking about, I might put some props to push this back up again, and props there. This is not broken. You see, one of the problems, the underneath there is screws, and the screws often rip the bodywork. But I'm going to get my little iPhone now and go in there and light it up. Okay, ciao, bye, 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 ciao, ciao, bye. And have a look around. Yes, we can. Oh, spiders. Yeah, spider webs. Let's look at the upper struts because they are the ones that are all. I can't see that, so I'm going to have to do this. I can see it vaguely, but I have to do it, take it out, and then look at it on the computer to see where we are with these things. Some white there, which I think is damp. I'm told this is up in the roof space. So let's have a look at the... Yeah, I think I can see them split, but I can't tell. I can't really tell. Just better, but we'll soon find out. Again, everything else in the back looks okay. There is some signs of damp. Let's just look at the back there. Go on, just focus back there. That could be damp. It's hard to tell. But I do think those are both split. Okay. Out you come. You're going to get sprayed if you don't stop messing. You hear me? This is not toys for you. Hey, stop! Stop! Don't even have to spray her, just have to pretend to spray her and she's off like a shot. But she'll be back in 30 seconds. Let me just see what this bridge is like underneath. This thing could end up as a 6-string guitar if you can't get it playing properly. 12-string guitars are notorious, even the best quality ones. They have to be made from the finest wood and the strongest wood to be of any lifetime guaranteed to them. I gave one to my mate and it was a good harmony one, well made. But even it will go over the years. Now you've been threatened to be sprayed. These were tilted towards the neck like that, which means that there's a lot of pressure on it, and the wood behind it, there's a little plaque of wood, has given away a bit. So it may need another little strengthener piece of wood underneath there to give a little bit more depth to it, but let's do some more investigation first. You've been threatened to be sprayed. These were tilted towards the neck like that, which means that there's a lot of pressure on it, and the wood, to me that would say, excuse, did you take that out of the box when I was working? You are a little thief. A little thief, I tell you. A thief! Black cat sneaking up on me. Why couldn't you fix guitars? You'd be more used to me. You're my little precious doll, aren't you? Yes, you are. No, it doesn't mean to say you can get into the box and play with the keys. No, away you go. Because I was nice with you. Doesn't mean to say you can get into the box and play with the keys. Just feed it in there. Yeah, it's cracked along the bottom. So the piece of wood that's underneath there, flat, it's got a crack right across it because the screws would have been started it, because you've got drill holes where, so I'm going to have to, well, I'm not going to say what I'm going to have to do yet, because it may be that this may end up as a playable 6-string, but nothing else. This is all angled, which is no good. So we'll take these off, put them in the box. I think that might have been a box of what do you get? There's those vegetables you can get. Yeah. There's screws missing from one side. No, there's no screw. What? Where's this? What? What? There's something missing from that. Is it inside? No, it's not inside. Right. So this should have another metal bar beneath it, so that you could rise and screw it, but the metal bar is missing. Right, and as I did that, these all came off the top. We'll get them later. So we have a thick guitar, and we need another. Do you know, I might actually cheat with this too. I might just put shims in it to get it to a height to be playable, because this guitar is not. Could you? Hey, that's the plastic end of my tuning. Right, you're going to get choked to the death. You are. So I might put a shim in there. Let me just look to see if that's raised. Yes, that's bulged a bit too. So, going to need some work, this guitar. But what? You, stop sneaking around. See, sneaky. I'm going to put it way up the top shelf. Does that mean to say, where's my spray? Where's my spray? By the way, it's completely empty. It just has water in it. I washed it with soap and suds and hot water. It doesn't have get off in it. It's just a bottle with water in it. But I don't even have to spray it out. I just have to hold it towards her and go. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's get started. No time like the present. Why wait for spring? Do it now. Whilst you slept, I took off the bridge. It was fairly easy to take off. I might even have a video somewhere of it, because it wasn't glued on very well at all. No glue there, blah, blah, blah. But also I have taken off the fretboard. Georgie girl just got him. There's the fretboard. Came off very cleanly, surprisingly cleanly, on both sides, and it's maintained its straightness pretty well. It also gives you a good example of what a truss rod does. When you tighten the truss rod, it bends in the middle, presses up against the fretboard, and forces the neck to bow that way, downwards. When you loosen it, the neck opens up, and usually the neck would sit more like that. So you can see the actual truss rod inside this. I'm going to take that truss rod out. You can see when you tighten it, it bends. So that sits in there and bends upwards. And you can see that it's got a lot of tension. Remember, I tightened it before I took the neck off. Let's just see what the neck looks like now with a straight edge, with no. Yeah, the neck is pretty straight. The neck is pretty straight. Let me look. Yeah, the neck is pretty straight. So the truss rod was trying to compensate for the body, which is sunk down. Next job is taking off this neck. Right, okay. I'll probably try to, well, we'll see. Okay, some lateral thinking. You can see the body's relatively straight now, even if anything it's slightly high. But this is going to be a bit of Frankenstein job. Because of what you'll see back there, I don't think you can see it actually. There's a strip of wood going across there, and there's a strip of wood going across there. They were originally on the guitar. Sorry, Pussycat, down you go. Pussycat wants to get his nose in. Strip of wood there, and strip of wood there. They were originally there, but they did nothing because they're not braced there or there. So rather than ripping those strips of wood out and putting in new strips of wood, which those strips of wood are quite solid, I've put posts in onto a piece of hardwood you can see is smothered in glue. There's posts on each side against the strip of wood, which is about that width, and is pushing up the guitar body. It may look a little bit unsightly, but at least it's going to bring this body up and keep it up. Now I need to think about the neck. I'm tempted, although I'm not sure yet, I'm going to wait till it's dry, but I'm tempted to take a big saw and just cut the neck off, cut the neck right off with a Japanese saw, take a little bit off it and then twist it, but I won't know that until we see what those posts do. One of the worries I had was it pushing the back out, but that smothered bit that you see there, which I'm going to tidy up a bit now with a paintbrush, but that smothered bit you see is, I think it's probably 1/4 inch hardwood, and it will be an extra brace across the back, even harder wood than what's there at the moment. A bit messy, but it'll be tidied up by the time I've finished. Okay, welcome to Heath Robinson's shop. When you don't have all the fancy tools of StewMac, you make do with what you can. So what I've done is I've created a piece of wood that's going to go underneath there, right? You'll see what I'm going to do. I'm going to smother this in glue at the moment. A little bit more glue than what it actually needs, because I'm going to wipe off the excess. Right. A little bit of tissue to make it go a little bit further to the edges to make sure, although that we'll get to the edges finally. Right. This fits snugly up in underneath there. If you don't drop it on its face, which means more cleaning. Luckily it didn't fall on its face. Right. Okay. And this fits snugly up in there. Just do this. I need smaller hands. That's it. Right. I fit that up tight against there. Okay, now here's the less than StewMac aspect. To keep that pressing up against it, I'm going to put a wood screw in it, which I've already created the holes for, and a washer. You'll see more in a second. It doesn't have to be ultra tight, just firm. Right, there you are. That's firm. Right. One goes here too, which will go on a washer. And what this is doing is it's pulling the wood. This is not looking good. I'm going to do this one again. It's pulling the wood towards. I don't like the feel of that one, so I'm going to use something else. Right, okay. Right, right, and this one goes here. And that pulls this side up. Right, okay. I forgot to show you something, but I'll show you that later. That side, okay, and finally, right, no, that's tight, right, that's pulling it up against it, but we still have the little bulge. So what I'm going to do is put a couple of washers there for space, a bit of wood, and put a clamp on that side. Side. The spacers are there. The washers are there just to give it the proper spacing. Right, okay, and let me just work it. That's perfect. Okay, and just tighten this up. The clamps have got rubber rubber feet. So okay, so they're not on the screws, but they're on the washers, and the washers is pushing that down, and the wood is pulling up against it. So it is my hope that this will help. Let me just check. Yes, that's pushed down. So when that wood is dried in place, the wood should, like that, so I forced it together and the bottom down. So when that dries in place, I take the clamps off, it'll rise slightly, but hopefully the two contradictory bends will create the tension that's needed for there. But I do know, even if it doesn't do that, that it will strengthen the body. So that's it. I'll leave that 2 days. The holes that I have the screws in will be drilled out to wider than the screws. That's why I was able to put screws in it. Okay, that is now done, and as you can see, it's done a very good job. There's a little bit there, but nice and flat there, so it's far better than what it was. So what I got to do is clean up all that, drill some new holes in there, and reset it again. But I'm not going to do that yet until I have looked at the neck. So here's what I decided. I decided not to cut the neck off, because this cheapo knockoff of a Hummingbird, the Merlin, is never going to be what you would call a real guitar if I can get it playing somewhere. So what I've done is I put a piece of maple on the fretboard to raise the fretboard up the whole way. Okay, and I'll then put the fretboard on, and we'll see what thickness the neck is by then, and we'll work from there. I got a feeling this will add strength to the neck as well, and strength to the body, but I don't know if it'll ever be a 12 string again. If it is, well, we'll worry about that when the time comes, but it's really for the bin. But I'm playing Frankenstein guitar. I put the wood in to raise the fretboard up, which will give me just enough room to put 6 strings on it. The neck is thicker now by about just under 1/4 of an inch, so I'll have to trim off. I'll have to thin the neck from the bottom upwards, and hopefully the wood seems very strong on the neck, so I can take off about 1/4 of an inch, I think, from the bottom of the neck, just at the top. Oh, excuse me. Just around the top, because this guitar is never going to be played professionally. It really should go in the bin because of the amount of damage it's taken and how weak it is. But let's see if we can get 6 strings on it at least. Start cleaning this right down to the wood. They use the glue on top of the lacquer, as you can see, and so the glue doesn't stick well to the lacquer, as you can see, and that's part of the wood of the upper bridge. So I've got to get it down to the wood where this is, and I'll do that off camera. Seriously, this was in such lousy condition it should have been scrapped. It really isn't much better now, although it's playable. You see it's a 6 string now. I'm not going to take the chance of putting another 6 strings on it. It's playing okay. Action is just a bit higher than I would like it down there, but it's all playing. I've had to put a shim on the neck. I've had to put pillars inside the guitar. I've had to sink the bridge down with strengthening wood beneath it. I've had to put a new bridge on it, which is pretty low. These screws do nothing. These screws are just for show. The tuners have all been sorted out. The nut had to be raised, and I had to put some epoxy resin underneath the nut to get it raised. That's a new nut, a 12 string nut, because of keeping the widths to the neck. But overall it's playing. I don't think any self-respecting luthier would look at this and say, oh, didn't he done a good job? He's done a good job. No way. Nice sounding 6-string. And you may get it back to a 12-string, but a new set of strings, the lightest strings possible, well, not the lightest strings possible, size 9, strings 9's the light strings. So it's brand new strings, so I don't know whether it's in tune or not now. Let's just have a look. Okay, so there you go. It's going back to its owner. Love it or leave it. Oh, there's a little bit of damage there. When I took the neck off, I damaged the plate. I tried heat putting it back on again, but no. It's lucky to be alive still. It's lucky to be alive. All right, goodbye. Goodbye, guitar. Yeah.